This book is on the Wouldn't Read Again list. It is above Southern Republic. It is called The Banished Lands. It came out in 2015 and is authored by Benjamin Mester. It is the first in a series of the same name. And, I read the whole thing. Can't tell you what happened in the last three-fourths of the book. So there's a poem that starts off, and I guess the author wrote it. I'm not entirely sure. The poem basically says that there's nothing good as time slips past. Sheila's dead and she got killed in the forest. Nothing is happy. The world is in unrest and darkness originates in the west. And the speaker is buried with Sheila until the world is new. It's a warning, I guess. So Syria is a town in the corner of the kingdom, and Durian lives there, and he's been dreaming of a woman dead in a field, kind of like the poem. And he goes to the Sea Games to be with his friends Baron and Blair. Baron and Blair are twins, and Baron is adventurous and shit, and Blair is very, I want to stay inside. Blair's my kind of dude. Baron wins the Sea Games, and Durian sees some old guy just hanging out around the town, and Durian is 20 and he doesn't have any parents anymore. He's a merchant. He works with wood, but the lumber guys can't go into the forest because there's some smoke and perfume out there, and people are disappearing, and no one really knows what it is, and that's pretty weird. So Baron, Blair, and Durian decide to follow the old guy for some reason. I don't really know why they're doing this, and I get kind of bored, and the plot doesn't really feel like it started at this point yet. And then there's some soldiers, and they find a mountain, and then they're definitely lost. And then Durian remembers a poem about being lost. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay. Some dudes named Shibor and Straya find them and save them from the soldiers, and they tell them about the old man, and they say that it's Malfoy, and that's what they know about the old world, and Durian knows the most about it. And roll credits. Roll credits in this chapter to say something about the Banished Lands. House Kavanaugh are the ones who ruled before the continent split, and they're stuck there. And the Banished Lands are the West, and Durian talks about his dream, and Mystery Malfoy plans to siege your realm. Yeah. Malfoy is why the mist is there. They find the old man. He's not Malfoy. He's actually Palin. I think he was the one of he's the keeper of the South, and Malfoy is the keeper of the North. So there used to be four of them. For some reason, history only remembers three of them. I don't know. I don't plan on reading the other ones. So now they go to the capital, and there's lots of history and just filler. And they're walking and they're talking, and Durian used to have an axe, but I guess he lost it. And I don't really understand why they kept Durian and his friends. I really don't know what purpose these actual humans could serve to the plot. They get to the capital, and that poem is everywhere, and they rouse the king, and I don't know. I guess Durian is supposed to be the poem writer, but reincarnated a bunch of times. I have no clue. He has some kind of power, but I refuse to talk about it till I understand it. They get the king to believe in magic, because, Syria is in danger, but we're just gonna leave it. It's fine. We're just not gonna mention it for the rest of the book. It's fine. Durian realizes that the poem is a message, and they open a shade stone, and there's some rings in Shayla's necklace. The Keeper of the Wind's powers is in that one king's grave, and it's in he's buried in the Banished Lands. Why he was buried there, who the fuck even knows? How Malfoy doesn't know this, who the fuck even knows? Because you figure, as a bad guy, if you're looking for secrets, that's the first place that I would go. Because the queen had the necklace, and now the queen's dead. So maybe I should go to her gravesite. I guess no one knew where they were buried. I don't remember. So now they're going to go get her necklace from the Banished Lands. Barbarians attack. Barbarians. Malfoy's people come, and I don't know. They're here for Palin, and they take Palin, but they go to get him, and they get him back easily, and the Malavor's people take the city. Uh, I'm, I don't know. Hopefully, when I do the next book, I'll be a bit more excited. All of these books that are just very middling and I have like really nothing to say about them, they're kind of boring and it makes me kind of sad because I feel like my videos aren't as entertaining. But I mean, this is more for when people tell me that they have nothing to read. I just want to send them these videos because, you have nothing to read because you haven't looked hard enough. I'm reading things so that you can figure out what you should read and know that you don't have to read it because it's probably a bad book. Anyway, more walking, Durian and his dreams, the poem, more poems. Palin gets his power. Barbarians. They go everywhere they go, trouble follows. Durian figures out that his dream means that they have to reunite the king and his lady, so I guess they aren't buried together. Blair and Baron are now out of the story, and there's some battles at the end of it. There's a ton of history in this book, and I can only think of Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, but like in Game of Thrones, the history is sprinkled throughout the story, and just like, hey, do you remember that thing? That kind of reminds me of now. So like everything feels like there's a point to saying it. Like if someone were to say that, hey, you know how like Daenerys Targaryen is coming to Westeros to try and like take over? It kind of reminds me of Aegon's conquest, where he came to Westeros with his dragons to take over. And then you now know that some dude named Aegon came to Westeros and tried to take over with his dragons, kind of like what Dany's doing. So like in that book, it feels like a lot of the history is just for like, hey, this is kind of similar. But like, if you want to know the entirety of Westerosi history or like the Targaryen history, there are separate books, separate optional books for things like that. This, like, like, uh, I don't know. The Lord of the Rings comparison is mostly due to the fact that they just walk and walk and walk and walk. And here's a fight, and then there's some more walking, and then here's another fight, and then there's some more walking. And like, they're going to attack this town, and we're going to leave the town so that we can go walk some more. And we have to go get a thing. We have to go get a mystical MacGuffin in order to do whatever the fuck. There are also 3 books. It reads like a movie script. I feel like if the Banished Lands were a movie, it would probably be better because there's just so much walking and talking. Walking and talking. Standing and talking. One person walking and talking while another person is sitting and talking. That's what it feels like. I feel like we are in Durian's head enough. It feels like it should be his story, but it doesn't read like that. And his only motivation is learning about stuff. And then it becomes to save the realm. He doesn't seem to care very much about the town that he actually grew up in by the end of it. And that forest still has, like, mist and perfume in it. So, the conflict is solid, I guess, but I'm not interested in reading 300 more pages of this. No. I feel like also part of the problem is that in this case, show don't tell would require a whole separate book, because if you want to show the history of it, then you have to write the history of it like George R. R. Martin did instead of writing the next Game of Thrones book. I'm not salty. He's gonna die before he finishes those books. But yeah, like I just if you like Lord of the Rings and you if you like reading Lord of the Rings, and you like reading Game of Thrones, you'll probably enjoy this book. As I said in the previous video, I still haven't finished the 5th Game of Thrones book, so not for me. This book goes above Southern Republic. So, yeah.